Well, good morning, my friend, and welcome to the Pastors Podcast. It is good to have you along with me on this Monday morning and March the 10th. Good to have you with me. What a good weekend God gave us here. A little bit of rain on Friday or Saturday night, but man, yesterday time changed Sunday and still had a good crowd in. People saved, people baptized. Good time serving the Lord. And I'm looking forward to a busy week as we get going right now. 1 week until the Old Paths Conference. I want you right now to plan to come. Register if you're coming. Please help us out with that. OldPathsConference.com. We'd like to see you come. Looking forward to a great time in the Lord as we try to encourage others to do something for the Lord. The bush still burns. That's the theme of the conference. Boy, I want a fire ignited in our souls to, man, never let it die. Never let it die. And we do whatever we can to see what we can do for God, and God certainly would be pleased with that. There's something about somebody who can just keep it going day in, day out. There is no secret to it. It's just keep on going, keep on going. And I'd encourage you now, as we go forward, that we try to see someone say, now today's a good day to go soul winning. It's a good day because it's Monday. It's a good time, a good way to start your week out. And I'd encourage you, no matter where you live around the world, go soul winning on Mondays. Those are great days to go. People aren't expecting you. You can see them saved, get them lined up for Sunday, and you'll be surprised what will happen if we can just work on that. Well, today, two words that will be an encouragement to every person who has a love for right. First Kings 17:1 says, and Elijah the Tishbite, who was of the inhabitants of Gilead, said unto Ahab, as the Lord God of Israel liveth, before whom I stand, there shall not be dew nor rain these years, but according to my word. Now, the times were very dark for Israel in the time of this verse. A godless, wicked, vile, evil king was the one who ruled Israel. Ahab, the king, had turned God's people to worshiping Baal. In fact, God says that there is no one that turned the people's hearts towards Baal like Ahab. Because of Israel's turn from God, God sent 3 years with no rain to judge the wickedness of this nation, his people. Now, these were hopeless times as their water source had dried up, which meant there was no way to grow their crops, resulting in their food supply running out. However, two words turn the narrative around. I love this. Those two words are, and Elijah. This is what excites me. Those two words meant there was still a man of God. There is always hope in dark days as long as there is a man of God with God's power on his life. Now, I'm reminded of Nineveh that faced the impending wrath of God. But there was a man of God by the name of Jonah who preached. His preaching turned the city around for God. The fact that God had a man of God to send to Israel meant that God was not done with Israel. And it was Elijah's presence that turned that nation around for good. Now, we might live in dark days, but there's always hope as long as there is a man of God with God's power on his life. God always uses a man of God to turn things around for right. Revival is not dependent on a political movement or which party controls the government. It's always dependent on God using a man to turn things around for him. And it may seem that there is no hope for your nation, but many nations have faced the impossible of turning things around. But when God placed his power on that man and his hand on that man, God used that man to turn the impossible situation around. Now, God always has an answer when evil prevails. And boy, does evil seem to prevail in our day. And I'm not talking about the presidency, I'm just talking about our society in general. God had Gideon when the evil of the Midianites oppressed Israel. God had David when the Philistines were about to destroy Israel. God had Moses when Israel was under great bondage to Egypt. God has always had an answer to the evil that has prevailed. Now, God has a man to do a great work when evil prevails. As I study history, I've always seen that every generation has had a man of God whom God used to give hope in times of evil. There was Isaiah, whose preaching stirred Hezekiah to bring Israel back to God. Oh, my friend, there was Elijah, who prayed fire down from heaven, resulting in great revival to turn the heart of the people from Baal to God. God always has a man on whom he places his power during the most evil of times. Now, God always has great works to do when evil prevails. So this is the key. God uses men to do great works. The miraculous is possible for every generation. God's answer is through a man of God, get this now, who will step out and attempt the impossible by faith. And that attempt is what causes God to use him mightily to turn the hearts of God, of the people back to God. Now, two things are very critical in this whole thing. First, every man of God needs to get God's power on his life and attempt the impossible by faith for God to work the miraculous through him. Second, God's people need to get behind this man so that the great works can be done. My friend, there is hope. I think about Elijah. Think about this. Elijah, God used Elijah, but when Elijah said, go get some water, somebody had to carry those barrels up. Elijah didn't do it by himself. Somebody got behind the man of God and carried the barrels up and dumped the water. And they went and they did this. Forget this now. Why? Because God was showing that he uses a man, but he uses a man that has some people that'll follow him to do the great works. Somebody's got to carry the barrels. Somebody's got to fill the waters in. Somebody's got to get the barrels to the altar. And though the man of God may pray the power of God down, and God's power falls on all of that. Oh, let me tell you, there's some people that need to carry the barrels. And I'm telling you, we need some men of God with the power of God that can get a hold of heaven and pray God's fire down. But we also need some people who will get behind that man and say, I'm going to help my man of God. I want God to do something. Go soul winning, my friend, and get in the bus route, get in the Sunday school class. Stop doing things that are just phenomenal. Do something miraculous, something powerful, something big for God. How we need that in this world. My friend, I challenge you today. I challenge you, get involved. Oh, we live in wicked times. Society's bad, but my God's bigger than the bad. My God has always proven he can turn a nation around if God's people, if my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray, seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and forgive their sin and heal their land. God can do it, my friend. It just depends on us. We've got to do the work. And if we do the work, if the man of God would do the work and pray, let me tell you something, then can I tell you right now, then somebody has got to say, let's get back and let's see God do something mighty. He can. Let's just do what our part is to see God do it. Well, I hope this is a great challenge to you today. Now let's remember today, hey, be good to everyone. Everyone's